I was to ask you what the biggest injustice in today's world was, what would you say? Here's my second question. How many of those problems would still matter if the entire world was underwater? For this reason, I believe climate change is the biggest injustice that the world faces today. We don't often think of it as one because nobody is immediately affected by it. But I'm here today to tell you that's false. I'm affected by it, and thousands more just like me. The decisions that humans have been making for more than a century have caused my home to melt, and I cannot bear to see this go on any longer. No pun intended. Do you know what has caused the climate change? You. You humans are the reason behind it. The industrial activity, burning of the fossil fuels, clearance of land for agriculture and other activities that the modern humans indulge in has raised the amount of greenhouse gases at an alarming rate. And greenhouse gas is one of the direct causes behind the climate change, as per NASA. The use of nitrogenous fertilizers in order to grow crops has increased the concentration of nitrogen in air. The plundering of natural resources for your selfish needs, like burning down the trees because, oh, you need wood, you need oil, is only adding to the causes. Do you know why summers seem hotter than before? That's because of the increase in the emission by the cars you drive. The power plant radiations all contribute to the increase in the temperature. Every single year since 1977 has been warmer than the 20th century average, with 16 of the 17 warmest years on record since 2001, stated by the Union of Concerned Scientists, USA. Now, why does any of this matter? Who is this really affecting? Well, for starters, polar bears. As the global temperature has increased, the sea ice that makes up most of the Arctic has begun to melt. Without that ice, polar bears have nowhere to hunt. They're unable to obtain even the bare necessities. Nowhere to hunt means less to eat. Less to eat means that we often are unable to build up enough body fat to make it through the winter. And why should you take my word for it? Because, in case you have forgotten, I am a polar bear. But it's not just us who notice the effect. A recent study published in Ecological Applications analyzed data on polar bears in Northeast Alaska and Northwest Territories and documented a 40% population loss between 2001 to 2010. And it's not just polar bears that are suffering. Over the past 40 years, almost half of the coral in the Great Barrier Reef has been destroyed by the effects of global warming. It's been bleached white by prolonged exposure to warm water. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on Earth. It provides habitat for nearly 9,000 species of marine life, all of whom will likely go extinct if the reef disappears. And based on the most recent prediction from the Australian Institute of Marine Science, if nothing changes, it will be gone by 2050. And even if you still don't care, if you think, oh, who needs bears and fishes anyway? Well, then think about yourself. As the Earth's temperature increases, it causes natural disasters on an increasingly violent scale. Hurricanes like Harvey and Irma will occur with more frequency and intensity. Worst of all, based on the most recent report by the National Academy of Sciences, if you don't decrease your carbon emissions soon, Disney World could be underwater by the year 2100. You will have no happy place to go to. Not only are you killing polar bears, you're also killing Pooh bears. I know this can sometimes be a polarizing topic, but I want you all to just take a second to pause and think about this the next time you buy a car or throw out some trash that could be recycled. Because even though it can sometimes seem like a grisly task, it's a problem we must all face together if we wish to succeed. When I was just a young cub, my grandmother would often say to me, roar, 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 roar. Because unlike me, she wasn't a talking polar bear. She didn't need to be. She lived in a world filled with ice to hunt on, where there was no need for a polar bear to learn English, so he could give a TED talk. That's the kind of world I want to leave for my grandkids. What kind do you want to leave for yours? Thank you for your time. Thank you for bearing me.